Good morning. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the 2023 OLA Super Conference. We are back in the room. We have close to 1,000 people here in the room, and a big hello to all of those that are out in the digital experience also watching us. I am Dr. Sabrina Saunders, your 2022 OLA President and the CEO of the Blue Mountains Public Library. I'd like to start today by acknowledging the territory and the land on which this conference is taking place. This land has been inhabited since time immemorial, and we honor the past, present, and future of those who have called Toronto home: the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, Neutrals, and most recently, Mississaugas of the Credit. We also acknowledge that this place we call Toronto has been a gathering and trading place for many nations of Turtle Island, those acknowledged and unacknowledged, recorded and unrecorded. As we come together here today, let us all consider our place in this territory and the people who are the traditional stewards of the land where our own home libraries reside. Nyawa. A few important items before we get going. I'm sure they're in the room and we'll see some, but throughout the conference you're going to see our volunteers. They are wearing the blue vests, as you all remember. These are library students in the master's and technician programs. We welcome them into our profession, and we hope that you're all going to say hello and discuss some career aspirations with them. You'll also see folks wearing the red vests. These are our OLA staff and the Super Conference planning team. If you have a question, they are the ones with the answers. So please visit our OLA exhibit and trade show. This is a whole experience unto itself. Exhibitors are showcasing new products and services. They're the authors that have our book signings there. There's poster sessions in the room. The exhibit is open tonight until 5 o'clock and then all day tomorrow. We also have a challenge for you. Over the next 2 days, we want to raise $20,000 for the I Read Canadian Fund. Our ultimate goal for this year is going to be $25,000, and we know it's possible with all of your help. This important fund gets Canadian books to communities in need and connects young readers to authors and illustrators through festivals and community visits. Donations over $20 receive a charitable tax receipt, and I will be going there this afternoon and making my $100 donation. We're taking donations throughout the conference, and it's going to be at the Gratitude Bar in the Conference Center foyer. And we're going to show you a short video now, hopefully to inspire you all to give.
Why is the love of reading so important? Reading for fun increases literacy skills, builds empathy, and leads to improved academic achievement. By building readers today, we are building the leaders of tomorrow. The many young people and families across Canada lack resources and access to programs and services to support literacy at home, in the classroom, or in the library. But you can help change this by giving to the I Read Canadian Fund today. We need to raise $25,000 this year, and we need your help to do it. The I Read Canadian Fund supports the purchase and delivery of new Canadian books to rural, priority, and Indigenous communities. The delivery of a few new book sets to a remote community can cost up to $4,000. We all know how powerful one book can be to a young reader. Books change lives. Imagine the impact we can have if we sent thousands of books to young readers who need them the most. Help us reach our fundraising goal. Visit ireadcanadian.com to donate today. Thank you to all our donors and supporters. We can't do it without you.
So please donate. Such a fantastic cause. I now invite Sheila Patterson, Executive Director of the Ontario Library Association, to introduce the Partnership, Canada's network of provincial and territorial library associations, and our other library organizations and association leaders who are here with us today at the OLA Super Conference.
Thank you, Sabrina. Hello, everyone. It's so amazing to see people that are not in a tiny little square. So it's my great pleasure to introduce you to the leadership of Library Association and library organizations who are able to join us in person for Super Conference. Associations and organizations play a really important role in the overall well-being of the library sector in Canada and internationally. They are places where we can collectively solve problems, deliver solutions, set standards, and advocate for support. So the following attendees are executive directors and the volunteer leadership, so presidents, vice presidents, or chairs, of an array of library organizations across Canada and beyond. So this is in no specific order, and I will ask our guests to stand and wave as they are called so folks can see who you are, and thank you for the great work you do, and perhaps chat in the hallways about your respective organizations and associations. We'll hold applause till the end, and then I expect it to be thunderous. So first up, the Federation of Ontario Public Libraries. Dina Stevens, Executive Director. Canadian Urban Libraries Council, Oza Kachin, Chair. Jefferson Gilbert, Executive Director. And Jefferson is not in the room because he's also the wizard behind the scenes of the Super Conference, but shout out to Jefferson. Canadian Federation of Library Associations, Lauricia McLeod, Chair. Michael Rogowski, Staff Lead. Canadian Association of Research Libraries, Susan Hay, Executive Director, Vivian Lewis, President, Brent Waytuck, Vice President. Fédération des Milieux Documentaires, Micheline Brulé, Directrice Générale. National Indigenous Knowledge and Language Alliance, Camille Collison, Co-Lead. Ontario Library Service, Melissa D'Onofrio-Jones. Ontario Council of University Libraries, Amber Lannon, Chair. The International Federation of Library Associations North American Region, Julius Jefferson, Chair. Christina de Castel, Vice Chair. Canadian School Libraries, Anita Brooks Kirkland. Next up are members of the Partnership, Canada's Provincial and Territorial Library Associations, and these are the associations that serve multi-library sectors. So first up, a huge thanks to Noreen Erickson, who is our outgoing editor for the Partnership Journal. Noreen, this was a significant service to Canadian scholarship, and I thank you for all of your work on this. A big welcome to Yvette Barry, who takes over as the new editor of Partnership Journal. British Columbia Library Association, Todd Mundell, President. Tracy Tyrion, incoming President. Rina Hadziev, Rina Hadziev, Executive Director. The Quebec Library Association, Barbara Whiston, President, and Kristen Goodall, Co-Vice President. Library Association of Alberta, Jessica Knock, President. Manitoba Library Association, Sarah Lee, Vice President. Saskatchewan Library Association, Tina Kleisinger, Executive Director. Rianne Lepere, Vice President, Communications and Engagement. Ontario Library Association, Sabrina Saunders, 2022 OLA President. Melanie Mills, 2023 OLA President. And I also want to send right now tons and tons of gratitude for the next two people I'll introduce. They have provided exemplary service to the National Library sector for many years and who are now stepping down in these roles. And I can't tell you how much I will miss their wisdom, support, and generosity. And that is Sue Clayle, who was the chair of the partnership, and Suzanne Vandenhogen, who was the secretary of the partnership. So thank you both. And I have probably missed somebody. So if there is somebody here who is representative of an association or an organization, please let me know, and I will announce your name at the closing keynote this afternoon. And I'm now passing it back to Sabrina. So a round of thunderous applause for all of these people.
So this is something that I have been very excited to do, and it is the President's Award for Exceptional Achievement. So something that the President gets to select. So this acknowledges an outstanding action or contribution that has, in a major or unique way, enhanced or furthered librarianship in Ontario. This selection is at the full discretion of the President of OLA and the awards are given if there is something of true historic significance to recognize. This year, I'm presenting this award to our First Nation Public Library librarians for exceptional service. For exceptional service and keeping their libraries open in the extreme of the pandemic and against all odds. As an Indigenous woman, and to the best of my knowledge, the first Indigenous OLA president in 123 years, I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be able to take this opportunity to shed light and focus on our First Nation public libraries and the amazing men and women who lead these organizations. These public libraries on reserve have always struggled financially, many having provincial budgets of less than $15,000. That's right, $15,000 provincial funding, and little other band funding. Without a municipal tax base, there is little opportunity for operational contributions. Band funds are set in strategic envelopes and designated by our governments. So as a result of that, our public libraries are not included in those funding envelopes. Currently, there is nothing provided for library services provincially or federally outside of the plug and a small First Nation salary supplement of $13,000 a year. All you CEOs in the room, can you imagine running your library only on a plug? It's not possible. The CEOs who manage these sites are cut from a cloth that harkens back to our post-war grandmothers, with victory gardens and fabulous jams, smiles and cookies made from magical ingredients that were non-existent, and an unwavering spirit to touch people and make the day better simply because you met them. When I began working at the Six Nations Public Library in 2007 as the CEO, I was welcomed to a group of 54 of these magical people. 10 years later, when I left my community to begin a new challenge, we were down to 50 public libraries on reserve. Following the initial years of this pandemic, we are now at 39. Even though we have over 133 reserves in Ontario. If our municipal and county public libraries were closing at this rate, we would be rioting in the streets, we would have marches on Parliament, yet here we are today, this is the situation, 39 remaining. While this award brings light to the lack of funding for our First Nations CEOs and our libraries, and the lack of funding for collections and programs, we're not here today for that march. We're here to celebrate. Celebrate the magical beings who tirelessly work for their communities. Some have retired more than one can count, training their replacements who have worked for less than minimum wage because they were only hired to work 15 hours and end up working full time. And when the opportunity avails itself for those young employees, they take it. And all that's left is that retired librarian who cannot watch the building that they built and the program that they've created falter, so they come back again and again, hoping once that the outcome might be different. We're here to celebrate the CEOs who, when their communities still kept their facilities closed during the pandemic, some as recent as in 2022, they delivered books door to door. They set up in the parking lots, out of their cars, lending materials. They loaned their personal laptops to people sitting in their cars so they could have connectivity. We are here to celebrate these mystical unicorns who are the First Nation Public Library CEOs, who against all odds, they've prevailed. They've kept their doors open. They have further taken wage cuts to be open for more time. I don't expect to see many of our Indigenous brothers and sisters in the audience today, sadly, because A, there are so few public libraries on reserve remaining, and B, they probably won't want to close their buildings during high school exam week to come here. Those of you who came to hear our keynote speech, we know our libraries are here, our staff are here, our library students are here, the members of the press, our advocates, our politicians are in the room. I ask you, will you stand with me today to celebrate our First Nation Public Library CEOs? Please stand with me today. Thank you. You are standing with me right now so that you can congratulate them on their perseverance against all odds. You are standing with them on the rights that they deserve and the supports that we know our team members need to bring equitable library service to our Ontario public libraries that are on reserve. So thank you so much, Nyawa. It is my pleasure to invite my colleague, my successor at Six Nations Public Library, Feather Miracle, the CEO of Six Nations Public Library, up to accept the 2023 OLA President's Award for Exceptional Achievement on behalf of all of our First Nation Public Library CEOs from our on-reserve communities.
Sego, Ani, hello and bonjour. My name is Feather Miracle, and I am the CEO of the Six Nations Public Library and the chair of the OLA Indigenous Advisory Council, among other things. It gives me a great pleasure to accept this award on behalf of First Nation Public Libraries of Ontario. I would like to start off by saying Nyalgoa, Chimigwech, thank you and merci to the OLA President, Sabrina Saunders, and also the OLA, to the OLA staff, the Super Conference planners, volunteers who continue to work behind the scenes, ensuring we all have a good time and that we get to learn a little something too. I was going to come up here and recite all of the names of the First Nations public libraries for you, but I think that is something that you all can look into on your own time. I want to share some insight into our world and what makes us stand out as the honored recipients of this award. So currently, there are 39 First Nation public libraries. I have contact information for 33, and pre-pandemic, we were at 46. That's a lot of libraries that have closed in a short amount of time. And again, as Sabrina said, there is very little awareness of that. So I'm very glad to share this information with you. We run our libraries in much the same way as any public library, but with one exception, and that we are public libraries on First Nation reserves. Many of you may not know what that means. Many of you potentially have never been to a reserve. So we are essentially dual libraries. So what that means is that we operate like any regular public library, and I'm sure everyone here in this room has been to a public library. But above that, we are the official memory keepers of our people, and we share that knowledge with, I like to say, with those that are here today, but we are keeping that information in Haudenosaunee. We call them the faceless ones to come, those that are our future. And we also operate and run and honor those that have been through a lot, and those are our residential school survivors. And we welcome them into our libraries every day. Most of our libraries are run by one librarian in a chronically underfunded environment. This means that many of us use our personal time and our own money to make sure that our community members have programs to attend for pleasure, as well as educational purposes and entertainment. In terms of being underfunded, it's a $13,000 operating fund. That has been the same amount that we've been given since the 90s. Despite inflation and growing needs technologically, we make do with what we have, and we apply for many, many grants. But when you're a single librarian and you're offering programming and you're helping everyone who comes in, it's challenging to also, at the same time, write grants. And not only that, but on a reserve, if the band is applying for the same pool of money, then they will apply for it, which means that our libraries cannot apply for that pool of money. So, you know, that's adding to already a challenging environment. But you know what? We're there smiling every day, welcoming people into our buildings. So earlier I mentioned 39 First Nation public libraries, and maybe that sounds like a lot, or maybe not, but there are 133 reserves in Ontario. There is in Northern Ontario in the Anishinaabe Nation, which is a nation of 49 nations, there are only 2 libraries. And those are in drive-in communities. So in the far north, there are no libraries. If you can't drive there, there are no libraries in that community. So there's 47 communities in Northern Ontario without a public library or even the ability to access one, because these are fly-in communities. So it is with great honor that I accept this award. So thank you, Sabrina, for recognizing our library sector, and one that might be kind of mysterious to you all. So you may wonder what you can do, and so I'm here to share with you. The easiest you can do is to learn and read. You can participate in the First Nation Communities Read program, and you can promote Indigenous voices in your libraries, and not just during June. It's an important month, sure, yes, Indigenous History Month, but you know, we're Indigenous every day, all year round, and so you can promote and support our voices every day, all year round, because we are here, we still exist, despite Canada and its genocidal tactics. You can have your boards read and endorse the CFLA, FCAB Truth and Reconciliation Report and Recommendations, and you can use this document as a guide on your own journeys to truth and reconciliation within your libraries. You can get a membership to NICLA, the National Indigenous Knowledge and Language Alliance, and contribute to the forward movement of Indigenous matters as they relate to cultural memory institutions, including libraries. In closing, I would like to share with you the words of the now retired Honorable Murray Sinclair. This is my favorite quote of his. "We have described for you a mountain. We have shown you the path to the top. We call upon you to do the climbing." Thank you. Now go.